So, everyone, welcome to a special live podcast and chat with our guest. Give him a round of applause, Andre. Andre, welcome. How are you doing today, man?
Grand. It's rather nice to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. So, guys, Andre is a music producer and a musician, and you're going to find out all about his skills. An amazing inspirational thing about Andre is he's blind, but he can do anything anyone else can do, probably even better than anyone else can do in music production and being a musician. And you've even traveled abroad for gigs and everything, mate. So I'm so excited to find out about your story. And if anyone has any questions at any point, please just raise up your hand. This isn't going to be like a lecture, kidding. It's more going to be like, we're going to chat. If you guys have questions, feel free to jump in with a chat at any point. Just try and get my attention, and we can do that as well. Does that sound good to you guys? All right, Andre, how are you doing today?
Sorted. So I came down from London this morning by train, and it was a nice, easy journey. And the nice thing about easy journey is it sets you up for an easy day. When it's a hard journey, I know it's going to suck. Luckily, that didn't happen. So I get on the train this morning, and the first thing I notice when I get on the train is that there's no real table for me to sit, because my plan was to actually sample my train journey down here, put it in Ableton Move, and then use it as part of the demo. That didn't happen, because where I was sitting was the disabled part with the big wheelchair space, and there was no easy table, so that was not fun. However, that's okay. You're all here today, and we can make it happen. So for those of you who don't know, in front of me is Complete Control, S61 keyboard, and I'm in Logic. You should be seeing that on the screen behind my head. I think it's behind me. So that's what we're seeing in front of me. So we start this morning with a load of tracks.
Track 2 strings, 2 bars.
This is the template that I usually use when I'm gigging, because I'm a professional musician and I gig out there and do all sorts of crazy stuff. And I use this also in the evenings online with a bunch of friends. You know how you can game over the internet these days? Well, you can also make music live over the internet in real time. And I use software called the Jamulus to do that. And David mentioned earlier that I gig abroad, and this is one of the gigs I do. I gig in Belgium, and I'm going to do that again in just a few weeks' time, in February, end of February, with these guys that I met online during pandemic, which was a terrible time for music. But luckily, with the help of good internet connection and lots of great new friends that I made, I was able to get through that and make some cool tunes.
So during the pandemic is how you end up getting this gig in real life?
Yes.
How cool was that?
It was very cool. It was unexpected, but in all the right ways. I really enjoyed it. And I've been out there twice, and it's kind of like an annual tradition now. We go out there end of February into March, eat great food, play great music, have a good time. And I basically built this template as a result of the Jamulus gig, which is funny, because my actual offline gigs use the same template now. So I'm going to show you all the sounds in here. And I thought what we'd do, every time I do a live session like this, what I like to do is get you guys to give me key and tempo later on, and we're going to build a track live without touching the mouse. Because what I like to show people is that you don't need to use the mouse to use Logic. This is a misnomer, it's a preconception that people have, is that you've got to be able to use the mouse and you've got to be able to drag this and that, push this and that. Not really. So let's break that down. So there's a bunch of tracks here, and I'll just show you a handful of them. So I've set up a track stack. A track stack, for those of you not in the know, is where you can have 2 or more sounds in one go, playing at the same time. So you play the keyboard, and then using mod wheel or whatever controller you like, you can actually bring in or take out sounds as you need them. It's quite nice. And then
Track 2 strings.
the separate action for that is just the one part, the strings. And then underneath,
Track 3 piano 1.
the first of 4 pianos, I think. Which is a really average piano. But you know the thing about average pianos is that when you mix it with a non-average sound, like great strings, it becomes better than the sum of its parts. So I like that.
Track 5 piano, track 4 piano 2.
The next one is Logic's default built-in piano, which is quite nice.
That one sounds amazing.
That's a Studio Grand.
Are you running it for any reverb or anything like that, or is it just dry as
No,
is?
it's dry as. And the thing is, this is actually something worth talking about.
Yeah.
There are so many times, right, and I've done this in the past and now I just don't do it anymore because I got fed up, is I would set up the most amazing EQ and reverb at home and it would sound great in my headphones, get on stage and it sounds muddy as anything, and I was like, I wasted hours of my life. Get out. So from now on, what I do is I have it dry and then let them do what they want at the PA end, because honestly, I thought, what an amazing sound. Whatever you think sounds good at home, you'd probably be wrong. So yeah, I don't do that anymore.
Track 5, piano 3.
The next piano is the Logic, actually the Studio Upright. So that one was Studio Grand, and this one's good for your sort of older. That kind of thing. Or if you want to do like the modern day, you know, when you play a couple of chords and resample it, and you take it down and do like the Jay Dilla swing kind of vibes. That kind of stuff, good for that. You hear the pedal noise, it's all dirty and wooden and really nice. And then we get onto some other things after that. So yeah, this is the template. Now,
3 bars. Track 7, piano 4. Track 8, Rhodes 1.
notice every time I'm using the keyboard to move down the track, it's actually announcing, and you can see that on screen as well. This is voiceover. Some of you in this room may have heard of a screen reader before, some of you may not. A screen reader essentially is something that reads out to blind people like myself, like Owen as well, what is going on the screen, so we can use the computer just like you can. Normally, the speech rate is much, much faster, but I've turned it down, so it's normal person speed. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to understand it. And I've also shown the captions on the screen, so we get...
Andre, see, with voiceover, when was the first time you started learning to use it? Was it at the same time as learning Logic, or were you more in general learning to use it with a computer?
Now, that's an interesting one, because my Logic life starts in 2016, but I've been using Macs for about 2 years before that. But I've been a Windows user since the early 90s or mid-90s, I guess. And over there, we have a different screen reader, or bunch of screen readers, right? So screen reader use in general is more than just VoiceOver. On the Mac, you only have one option, but on Windows, you have lots of different options. So it depends on really as to, you consider my computer use, which goes all the way back to the BBC computers, which is very old.
Oh, yeah.
Before
I
most people were
remember them,
born.
actually.
Yeah.
As a kid.
There was a whole thing, right? So then you had an external box that you plugged into the back of the machine, and it was a robotic voice. And I remember that what you'd do is you hit a couple keys and it would say, user id. Literally like that. Password. It was terrible. Terrible noise. And everything you did, from reading your class assignments to playing games, was all like that. Monotonic rubbish. So we've come a very long, long way since those days. I don't miss them. Maybe nostalgia-wise, but not really. But yeah. So now we use software and it's all good. But I tell you what, there was a time when, and you can still do it on Windows now, but screen readers cost money. Now, I don't like that fact. I think a screen reader should be actually free, in the same way that when you've bought the computer, you own the computer. Now, if you're buying a tower machine, for example, like let's say, a desktop PC that's just a tower case, you will still have to buy the monitor. So maybe people say, well, that's the same as buying a screen reader. But you can't use it without it. And so a screen reader that I can't use without a computer should be, I think, part of the price somehow.
Yeah.
Whole different thing.
Are various ones, I guess like other technology, there's different brands and different manufacturers, different screen readers.
That's right. There are a couple of free ones on Windows, and there's only one on Mac, which is built in. And this is the thing. We've gone to the land of built-in screen readers, so things have changed. And this changes the whole accessibility landscape. And accessibility is not just for Christmas, and I always say that to people. If you're going to do accessibility, do it right from the get-go. And this could lead nicely, segue into your question about music tech, I think, if you want to ask it.
Yeah, so in regards to music tech or instrument companies, anyone that makes stuff like what we see in front of us here, is there a way that you think we can make music making more accessible? Bring the mic a bit closer, Andre.
Sure. Making stuff more accessible is a long and arduous process, but it's not impossible. And we see this because Ableton have done an incredible job at their accessibility with Ableton Live 12. We went from no accessibility to a lot of accessibility.
Do you know, me and Owen just discovered that when we were looking it up. Yeah. So they've recently, to be honest, better late than never.
Right. And a lot of companies now have to kind of pull their finger out and do very similar things because Ableton raised the bar very high. It's one of only 2 cross-platform DAWs that actually is accessible on both Mac and Windows. The other one is Reaper. So that's it, right? Yeah. Logic is only a Mac product. The accessibility of Pro Tools on Windows is non-existent, but very accessible on Mac. And so you're not left with a lot of options. And the thing is, if you don't have a lot of options, it means that you have to probably spend a lot of money. If you could pick up anything and get anything from anywhere, you're all right. It's the same way that I'm not going to walk into Tesco and start being a shelf stocker. There's very limited jobs for me.
Yeah.
So if I can't get access to those jobs, it's going to hinder my progress and anyone else's progress. But this is the thing, don't be put off by that because there are options.
And speaking of Ableton, we don't have to go now, but a preview of what we call Ableton have recently made a new gadget, which is on the desk there. Andre's going to be showing us that in a bit. So quite excited to see
I'll
her.
try and do a little
Owen's
workshop
vibing
thing.
on that as well. Yeah.
Well, to have a go at that.
So did I, to be honest.
Yeah, don't worry. Probably like after this is done and we have sort of walk around, that's be fine. But yeah, so the first of questions, anybody in the student room got questions? Because there's a lot of things I could talk about all day, but I find that super boring. I'd rather show than talk.
Yeah.
To ask the obvious one, how did you get involved in music production in the first place?
I love that. I love that.
And just for the podcast, just in case they didn't hear Gary, because we're recording this too, I'll repeat that. How did you get involved in music production in the first place?
I think it kind of goes back to early Windows days when I was using just a MIDI sequencer. So back then I would record singers very badly using SoundForge, right? And what I'd have to do is basically make the entire track before we could record everything at once. Make a track, put that down to 2 tracks, and then have like Winamp play back into the recording of SoundForge. A bit like an old when you dub tape to tape with 2 tape recorders. Put it this way, it was a terrible, terrible idea. I got better. But yeah, that kind of thing. I wouldn't do it nowadays, and I wouldn't recommend anybody do it, and there's no reason to. But yeah, I think the early 2000s is probably when I started doing that with other people. And so in 2016, when Native Instruments came out with Accessible Complete Control, which is what I've got here, and I want to show you later, it was a game changer. And I really hate that word, you know. I have to use it a lot for the kind of things I do, but it genuinely was a game changer. So it allowed me to load products up that I could not use previously, like Arturia and Omnisphere and a whole bunch of other things. And I've got a whole plethora of sounds here today. And I can control nearly all of them from the keyboard.
So from the keyboard,
Yeah.
literally all the buttons and dials, hands-on,
Exactly.
hardly even have to use voiceover. Is that right?
You will hear speech,
Yeah.
but it's all, and it's all controlled from the keyboard. And the reason I like it is because of the tactility. And I think whether you're blind or sighted, if you can cut down on the amount you have to touch your machine, particularly while on stage or in the studio, it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
And NI did not do this for blind people, right? They had this whole complete control system for a long time. But it turned out that there was a hack day event in the NI offices one day, and someone said, why don't we try and make this thing actually talk? And so they made it actually talk. And it was good. And
That's
lots
so
of people
cool.
were happy.
And for those that don't know, Native Instruments have a great library of like some of the most like realistic sounds as well, don't they?
They
Or
have a lot of
they're good
those.
still, yeah.
They have a lot of those. And so do a lot of other companies now that work within Native Instruments hardware. And so, yeah, there is
Track
that.
number 2.
So here's a Rhodes, for example. And if I want to, I'll show you the plugin window for it. Hopefully it isn't going to crash or do anything naughty.
Close button. Row 2. View
So,
row 2 dialog.
Here is a
Row 2.
Rhodes, and you can see it. This is the Rhodes V8, and it's not natively accessible, but there's a whole thriving community. You know how, for example, there's all these modders for games that do all sorts of things behind the scenes? Well, there's a thriving community of people that make presets that work within this keyboard that I've got in front of me. So it means I can load things like Omnisphere and the Roland Cloud products. Because a lot of manufacturers don't care about accessibility, and this is a problem, but that doesn't stop others from making it usable. So this is one such product, and it's great. I can switch to another.
Browser. Reactor. Project Exodus. Pigments. Piano Technique. Pendulet.
Ah,
Hand drums. Oxid. Oscillus.
this is,
Preset. Init.
let's see. Good old saw wave.
Yes. Love it since.
This is Oxid, which is, I believe, a Virus TI or Virus B something. It might even say on the screen what it actually is. And again, this was actually free. The synth is free and the presets were free. So this gave me access to sounds I would not be able to use otherwise. And
Browser. Filter by preset. Airmix.
I like this sound, it's kind of chill. Except it kind of got stuck.
Whoa, that sounds like it's from a movie, that one. Yeah, big time.
Exactly, and stuff like this is kind of fun. You can
OSC1 wave.
adjust it, do all sorts of different things. But yeah, there's all sorts of sounds, and I have hundreds of thousands of different things. So I thought, why don't we do something fun? I'm going to come out of here. You guys give me a tempo, decide amongst yourselves, and then a key, and I will build something right here and right now so you know it's real.
Yeah, that sounds fun. So guys, what are we feeling? Are we going
slow?
higher,
Are we going chill? What are we going to do?
lower? What are we feeling temp? Hudson, what are you thinking? About 50?
Gosh, we'll be here all day, right?
Extremely slow. That's, we can maybe go a little bit higher than that. 100? How are we thinking, guys? What tempo are you favourite at the moment?
120, 100 is pretty cool.
100 is pretty cool.
It's nice and straightforward,
I'll get up
isn't
for
it?
that.
It's
Yeah. Okay, I think the consensus is 100.
101.513 100.0000. Tempo.
So that sounds
Mixer tracks group 1 bar. Metronome on.
like that.
3 bars.
So what I'll do is I'll keep this sound here in abeyance. So we need
Roads 1.
we'll go back to our Rhodes 1 sound, put some chords down. Oh, what key?
I'm going to move the mic a tiny bit for you, Andre. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Just about a bit backwards.
What key do we want?
1 bar.
Yeah, what key are we thinking? We could start off by thinking major or minor.
Yeah.
What are we going for?
F minor.
F minor? F minor sharp? F sharp
F
minor,
sharp
okay. Ah. Yeah. What made you choose that, Lily?
I just thought of it because with minor and the way that we put the music, it probably would go in and suit the style.
Okay, cool. Good answer, yeah. Suit the style, yeah. Nice.
Right, F sharp minor. Let's do it. Easy enough.
9 bars.
Set up a cycle.
Top of cycle, go down 8 bars. 8 bars. Track 9, row 2. Octave 0.
But what I really need first is a bass line. So I'm going to commandeer another sound and switch to bass, and I'll show you what it looks like when I do that.
What kind of bass you going for? Synth bass or kind of more
Nah,
bass guitar
acoustic bass,
emulation?
man.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Acoustic bass,
Cool.
man.
Bass, time on. Bass, bass. Complete control. Browser. Scan progress.
So
User. Browser scan stopped. User. Factory.
switching to the factory side, and I want Scarby,
The Hammersmith tradition. Splendid piano.
Elemento PQRST. Go backwards.
40 spaces.
Ah,
Piano. Vendor. Sonic Culture.
okay, hold
Impact
on.
Soundworks. MG Instruments. Native Instruments.
There we go.
Abbey Road Vintage Drummer. Analog Dreams. Mac. Schema. Light.
If you can see how many products I have here. It's ridiculous.
Scene Saffron.
Yeah, that is some library. That is an absolute playground of sounds, isn't it?
Reset. Scorpion bass and pop.
Is that just something you just built up over the years, Andre? Just bit by bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of my favorite bass sounds of all time. All right, I'm just gonna knock the fader down slightly because it gets hot if you don't
1 bar.
hit record there. Right, we've got to change the quantized value because, of course, it's playing straight if you listen carefully.
1 bar.
I didn't play it like that. So we need to go
Item choose. 1 item. Smart quantize. 1 slash cube swing.
fix the
1
quantize.
slash maybe take 1 slash 16 swing A. 1 slash 16 swing D.
I kind of like swing D a lot.
1 slash.
Listen to this.
1 bar.
Yeah, that's huge, that difference.
Massive
Did
difference.
it auto-quantize it when you recorded it in? And then
Based on
you're-
my
you're
template,
tweaking it, yeah.
based on my template. I have a template that's all set up to auto quantize. You can switch it off, of course, but I just love that swing. All right.
Track 15 swing.
Yeah.
Now, one of my favorite parts. We need drums.
Track 16 drums 1.
Nah.
Are you guys ready to see some of the best finger drumming you've ever seen in your entire lives? Yeah, you're going to enjoy this.
Right. So the kit I'm using is Addictive Drums Modern Soul R&B. I'll show you the interface for that. This is what this looks like. So we get a bit of a clap going.
1 5.
And once again, got to hit that. Yeah, get my quantize back to 16ths, and we're doing good now. So here we had a. There we go. There's the synth sound we had earlier. So now basically it's a case of I could add more, but I don't need to. So this now becomes just a bit of a fun solo jam, doesn't it? And it's just that's as easy as it is, like all
I think
without
that
the
deserves
mouse.
a round of applause. Big time. That was epic, Andre. Love that. Love that.
The mixing sucks, but you know that's easy fixed in post. So that's the kind of groove I like to get going, because this sparks any kind of idea. You guys gave me the tempo, the key. You see, I didn't fake it. You were right there for it.
Amazing. So a lot of our audience are 16 to 25 years old.
Yes.
That's the kind of, and people listening to it likely. What was life like for you when you were that age, Andre? Were you kind of getting right into your music then? What was it like for you then?
Yeah. I mean, I was heavily into sequencing and getting ideas down, and I was using something called QWS back then, which is Quick Window Sequencer, and it was written by a blind guy because he didn't like any of the commercial offerings. So he just, as you do in your bedroom, coded it up. I mean, the guy's a living legend.
That's so cool.
Absolutely stunning. I used that for 13 years, and I would still be using it now if it wasn't for Logic. I used that from 20-something till 2016, 2003 to 2016, 13 years. And I built a ton of stuff with it, some of which you can find online to this day. So yeah, I was sequencing, but I wasn't doing anything with audio. Now, of course, I have the pleasure of being able to work with audio and all kind of stuff, and I really like that. So it's been a massive change switching to Logic. It was quite the, do I really want to do this? Because you give up, you know, like if you've got a favorite pair of shoes or slippers, getting out of those and getting into something new, it's very awkward at first. But I'm glad I stuck with it, because I actually now, you know, I teach Logic to blind students. I give them the outlet that I have. And I always say that, you know, a lot of blind students come and use Logic, have people do it for them. And I always say, you don't need people to do it for you. You need to do it for yourself. So it's best to be the front seat driver you know you can be, as opposed to the back seat driver that you have been. So it's a big incentive for me to show people, hey, if I can do it, you can do it.
That's amazing, honestly. And it's so magic you're passing that on to the next generation. And I was going to ask you, is there any like people that have taught you or helped you along the way that you want to mention or shout out when you were learning it, or music teachers in general?
Of course, music teachers in general. There's a guy called Jez Nash who has a little, I don't know if it's a band or it's just him. It's called Motormouth, I think. And he takes a lot of samples of cars and slams doors and uses them to make bass drums and things. And I think he is or was a Logic user as well. But when he was teaching me, we were doing stuff with Cakewalk and Sonar back in the early 2000s. And I did not enjoy that. Not because of him teaching. I just didn't enjoy the DAW itself. But he did teach me on the sly how to use Cubase a bit. So thanks, Jez. I wouldn't be doing this without you.
Amazing stuff, amazing. Yeah, great stuff. And like, obviously, you're such an inspiration doing all this. Like, nothing has held you back. I'm sure you've had your challenges though. But is there anything you'd want to say to someone listening to this who's maybe struggling to overcome a barrier to like achieve their dream? Anything you'd want to say? Because obviously you've managed to overcome so much to be like, well, we've seen what you can do. It's amazing. Anything you want to say to someone who's listening, who's pursuing their dream, but maybe has a big barrier they've got to overcome?
There's a lot of barriers to entry, right? Cost, I think, is probably one of the biggest. If you can get somebody's old, even if it's crappy, Mac or PC, there's options out there for you. And one of the best places to go is probably the Bedroom Producers blog, because they have a lot of freebie instruments and things like this. And I recently did a video on my YouTube channel. I make a podcast with my wife, and I made music for that podcast using only free instruments. You couldn't do that, right, before about 2018, 17 or something. Free instruments were absolutely difficult to find because nobody had the idea to do it, and they all wanted to make money. Pandemic actually started to show people, hey, we can all help each other. And so a massive plethora of free instruments came out, and I'm glad to see it. So I set myself a challenge. Can I build it's not even an epic piece, it's kind of an orchestral thing using just free instruments. And I did. And I'll tell you what, I'll load the piece up in a minute. I'll show you what I built it from. But it's just to show you that, a little 45-second sting can be done with free stuff.
Well, I'd love to hear that. That'd be amazing, actually.
It was great fun to do.
Yeah, anyone else like to hear that? Yeah, that sounds good.
I'll spin that out.
Yeah. Shall we do that now, yeah? Oh, yeah. And we were going to chat more about Andre's podcasts in a minute, because I know there's a bunch of podcasters at SupaJam as well who are into music and podcasting, so we'll come to that.
Oh, brilliant.
But I think this orchestral line could be an amazing thing to check out next. Oh, we got a question.
Yes.
We're... Jude.
I was going to ask, are there any misconceptions or anything you like for sighted people have on blind or otherwise disabled musicians that you would like to kind of clear up, because there must be a lot of misconceptions?
There's so many. And I think some of the biggest you'll have seen today is that you do not need the mouse to do everything, because I haven't once touched the stupid mouse, right? So it's one of those things that I like to show people, hey, they have a question, how do you possibly drag this all around the timeline? How do you draw automation curves? How do you move this to this point quickly? I got you covered. This is one of the biggest. I went to another school called Lipper Sixth Form in Liverpool, and I gave them an hour-long presentation just to the teachers, not the students, and they had all those kind of questions because they had their first VI student. And they were like, well, how do we keep her in touch with the class? How do we make sure she doesn't fall behind? And I showed them all that. They're like, what? Nah, you can't do all that with a keyboard. Yes, you can. And that is one of the biggest barriers, I think, because a teacher that doesn't know they don't know, right? So it falls to people like myself, and there's lots of other people out there, accessibility trainers, to show you guys what you don't know. But you can't know to look for it, because doing a web search for how do you do this with a keyboard is so, what's the word? Fluffy language. So you've got to find just the right YouTube, the right terminology. And I have, plugging myself again, I have a YouTube channel with some videos on Logic from a VI perspective, a blind perspective, showing how to do some of the stuff like I've covered here today. But there's others too. But yeah, I think that's one of the hardest barriers to overcome. Makes me sad.
Great question, Jude. Thanks for that.
Definitely.
Anything else you want to ask?
Where do you envision the future of music to go in terms of with disabled artists? Do you in, say, 30 years?
Right.
How far do you think we could progress?
That's a very long way out. So how far do I think we could progress in 30 years? 5 years, I could picture that. And I think because companies like Ableton, Apple make Logic, it's accessible, Pro Tools is accessible, because these are really big in the industry, right? If it was like a no-name company, I don't think anybody would take notice. But Ableton shook up the industry when they made Live 12 accessible. And there was an article in DJ Mag about it. And I was actually on the team to make that happen partly. I don't profess to be an Ableton user, but I was one of the testers, to look at it. And they consulted people. A lot of companies say they want to do something to do with accessibility. What they do is virtue signal. They don't actually do the work. They get one person that has a blind relative that they think, therefore, they can use the computer based on a blind person's usage. And it's not really the case. So what? You know what a screen reader is? Do you know how to use it? Could you close your eyes and navigate it? No. So what companies have to do to get this right is to hire people that actually do this for a daily, on the daily. And there's loads of us out there. There's loads of blind musicians. They're all over the world. Some of them have big famous names. Some of them don't. right? But people that want to use your product because they hear what you can do with it, people wanted to use Ableton, so they stepped up and made it happen. People wanted to use Logic, they made it happen. Now, Logic became accessible long before I say long before, some years before I started using it. But look where we are today. Like, here I am with my own Mac. And one of the things I want to say to everybody is that off-the-shelf components are the best components to use. There are a lot of bespoke products for the blind and other disabilities as well, but they cost so much. Why do they cost so much? Because they know they can charge for them. And because of that, if you only ever use that, you get stuck in this little rut of, well, when this thing breaks or becomes end of life, I'm still stuck on this old thing running Windows 98. And it's 2038 now. What are you going to do? It's a problem. So my personal modus operandi is I'll only use, unless there's a really good reason to, off-the-shelf products. So I use an iPhone, I use a Mac. I can walk into any Apple store in the world, pick either of these things up. And because of the, as I said earlier about the built-in screen reader, I'm off to the races.
A big thing I've noticed as well, Andre, is your keyboard skills. So in case anyone didn't notice, Andre's got his computer's keyboard just there. And have you got any advice on anyone who's just starting to learn this? Because obviously there's a lot to remember with the key commands. Have you got any advice to anyone who's learning it and progressing it, how best to practice these kind of skills?
There's so much to learn, and this is, I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent, I think.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
So I'm thinking learning a DAW like Logic in itself it's a lot to learn.
It's a lot to
skill,
learn.
But then you've got
Massive.
the additional layer of skill using the keyboard and all the extra key commands.
Yes, and I had a few people come to me in the past, and I had to set them straight. Right? What they said to me is, my university uses Logic. I need to learn to use Logic by next week. Do you really? Have you ever used a Mac before? No. Do you know what a screen reader is? Yes. Can you use one? No. So you don't need to learn Logic next week. You need to learn the foundations of your computer by next week. Then we build on that. And the important thing is, A, can you touch type? Right? No pun intended. I can touch type. This is not, this is one of the things, you'd think it was meant for the blind. It's not. Touch typing is a skill that everybody should have. If you can touch type, you can muscle memory your way around the keyboard. Then you've got to learn the screen reader commands, because the screen reader uses like modifier keys, let's say Control and Option in the case of VoiceOver, right? So it uses those keys in conjunction with the keys on the keyboard to do things. So if I use Control, Option, and the arrow keys, it's going to do something that would not happen if VoiceOver were not active. So you've got to learn the screen reader. Then you can get into learning your DAW of choice. You're not learning Logic in a week. I didn't learn Logic in a week, right? No one really does.
Yeah. I was going to ask as well, and do you think in education then, teaching the really fundamentals of using a screen reader should be like even more prioritized? I don't know if it is or not, to be honest, but do you think
it's probably not
especially
enough
for VI students? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not enough prioritized. I think they just think, oh, you've got a Mac here, you've got Logic here, you can do everything on it immediately. No, you've got to know how to use it all first. And because of the extra layer of complexity with the screen reader added, it's a deeper thing, you know?
Yeah. So maybe local authorities and educational institutions, that could be a...
They hire people like me to train them how to use this screen reader.
Exactly, yeah, of course.
I'm a terrible person.
No, but the thing is, you bring a special skill to this that, you know, that not many people have, to be honest. So I think it's fair enough to have you train us up on it. Now, we have mentioned Ableton a little bit, and we mentioned podcasts as well. And there are two little things, two big things I'm hoping to cover as well.
Let's do it.
Since we're still talking about music just now, before we go into podcasts, is it worth mentioning the Ableton gadget we've got in front of us today now?
Yeah, we'll boot it up.
Yeah.
Get it going.
So this is in less than 12 months ago, am I right? It's been in development a bit longer, but...
Yeah, this is a pre-production unit, actually. I've had this since January of last year, but it came out officially in 2024, October of 24, I believe.
I'm not jealous at all, you know?
Nah.
It's so cool.
It's a really cool little gadget, and I like it a lot. And I'm just hoping it's going to boot up. Are we booting?
Yeah, it looks like it's loading to me. There's like flashing lights and the Ableton logo's there.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So it has really crappy inbuilt speakers. We'll try and find a way to hook it up to something. somehow. It's got like a 3.5 out, so we can probably do a thing.
0.5 out. Cool. Or we can hold up to the mic to start with.
Oh, this, yeah. Beg your pardon.
So I guess the built speakers just so you can sit on your sofa and chill and
Yes.
make beats and stuff. Yeah.
Your best bet is to hook it up to actually headphones, but
Yeah,
it
John's
at least
gonna get
has
us
the
an
options.
adapter just now. We're gonna
But
try
this
and
thing is
find
it's such an amazing bit of kit. Like, it's one of my favorite things, and it's accessible. It's the first device I think of its kind to have like a built-in. I say a built-in screen reader. It's actually a web-based screen reader. So for example, if you've got a router and you log into the router and you manage it like this, well, this is what this has. It has a built-in web server. You go to the web server in a browser, and everything that you then touch on these controls or do anything is output to your computer on the page, and the screen reader can read it.
Amazing. Just so you know, Owen, I think, has a question. Owen, what do you want to ask?
I just want to know about that beat there. Is that me or is that using a hot pants jungle break?
No, it's all me. That was all done within Move, within the land of Move, and all the samples were done with all on board. I didn't add anything. You'll hear it better when we get a good hookup in a bit.
So that's cool. So that links via Wi-Fi to your computer, which then
Yeah.
can screen read what's happening on the device itself.
That's right.
Whoa.
So what I'm
that's
gonna
really
do?
We got a cable here.
Oh,
So
joy!
it's gonna mute some things and get it. Oh, actually, I got a spare channel, I think. Yeah.
Excellent.
Here.
Yeah, that one. Audio out.
Right.
I'll turn it down super low and then I'll turn it up and play.
Gradually turn it up.
Okay. I think there's a phasing issue. It doesn't feel like
Well, 2 seconds. Let me try the mono. Try this.
two monos. Give 2 monos. Because you can hear like the center channel, the side channels. I've got a Bluetooth speaker in the back. I'll bring it out in a bit. But yeah, this is able to move, and it's a glorious little piece of kit.
Come out. Is it coming this way? Oh, there we go. Yeah, if you turn it up a little bit.
You're only hearing like the middle because this bass line is dead. The center channel is dead. It doesn't have a Bluetooth out, no, which is unfortunate. I'll work. I've got a cable later. I'll tell you what. In a bit, I'll bring this out. But yeah, you guys will be able to check this out in this short order, and I'll show you how you make a beat on it. And I've actually become good enough with it. I can use it blind. No pun intended. But I will get the screen reader part hooked up as well, so Owen can have a listen. But this is like the most exciting thing I've ever had, right? Because I'm not really a hardware fan. I got put off when I factory reset my keyboard before a gig, and I was like, screw this crap, I ain't doing that. So then I sold a lot of my hardware when Complete Control came out. I was like, yeah, I'm done. But then this came out,
Application.
and then because it gave me the ability to use it with a screen reader, I thought, yeah, I'll give hardware a go again. And I realized I was missing out.
Awesome. So, is there anyone who's got any other questions about the
Change the light.
kit?
Ah, right. So I didn't even say it. I'm 41 right now, and I started playing when I was 3 years old. And the first thing I apparently ever played was the EastEnders theme. My mum told me. Sad boy.
The EastEnders theme.
Yes.
Yeah. Can we hear a bit of that?
It was a wonder. It was like a.
We gotta hear that. Can we hear the jazz version of it?
What we do it like on a piano then. No, I'm
I
playing
think we
it.
might have lost the Vivi connection to the TV.
Play content button. New. Play on whiteboard. New. Whiteboard. Use students.
Ah, John.
John, do you know what we have to click on here for on the screen? I think we just need to reconnect possibly.
Yeah, come and do your magic. All right. This thing is such a pain. I hate it.
Oh, yeah, it's connected now. Screen share back. I think we just need to put the screen back to Logic now. Yeah. Thanks, Andre. Thanks, Sean. Yeah. You got the EastEnders jazzing theme.
Stupid thing.
Do you know any other TV shows?
I don't know, actually.
But I put you on the spot there. It's all
I
right.
want to show you this podcast music because it was kind of timely, and I want to show what I
Yes,
did.
let's go back to that. So just there, we were going to go have a listen to the project file.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of what you could say made what free orchestral sounds and string sounds and stuff like that.
Yes.
Cool. So I'll have a listen to that project now that we've mentioned previously. That'd be awesome.
1 second.
List view cancel. List view table. Screencast folder available from hang tight. Screencast folder. List view table 001 UP my orange logic 090 double standards logic 01 UP my orange logic 00 screencast logic pro. Don't close button. Cancel button. Do you want to close the current project before opening a new project? Closing it is recommended unless you wish to copy data between projects. Logic Pro is not responding.
So now it's loading the project, and we can see all these complete control instances flying in. It's joyful. The reason that the screen stopped sharing, by the way, is because I left the computer alone and it went to sleep.
Okay.
And it's like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Tuesday morning, I'm too tired.
Yeah, exactly. But it's coming alive again, and it's okay. So once it does that, and there's quite a few, I think there's 9 or 10 tracks in this project, and it's like only 45 seconds, so it's super short, but it's just to kind of show that you can do a really cool a lot with,
Do you want to save it? Mixer tracks.
there it is.
Track 1 song is for orchestral elements main chords. Track 2 head
So I've written out all the names, because I did a YouTube video breakdown of this track on my YouTube channel, so I wrote all the products that I'm using in the track names, as you see.
We're getting a thumbs up from Owen.
Yeah.
1 bar.
So look, here it is. It's not very complicated. I'll show you what it does.
1 bar.
Ah, still got the Christmas version. Never mind. And so all that's just free instruments, and it just amazes me that we have anything like all of that. I mean, you know, I wasn't using them to their fullest or anything, and there were loads of sounds that I could have used from loads of other free instruments, but this is something that you're supposed to be able to talk over, not be epic. It doesn't have to be.
It sounds amazing. I think it's just amazing to show that, like, these days with like Logic and some free instruments, you can create something that sounds like it should be on TV. Do you know what I mean? Like, or
That is
should,
kind of
like,
what I was
it's
going
out
with.
of it. It's so,
It's the TV kind of film aspect that I really like.
because it is easy to fall down that rabbit hole. Like, I need this plugin, I need this bit of software, I need this. Like, where at the end of the day, you just need to make some music.
You just need, exactly, yeah, the making music is the joy, you know?
Yeah.
And actually, one thing you didn't ask, but I often get asked, and is about creative block. And I think creative block is really hard. I did a YouTube live a couple of weeks ago because I'd been suffering with creative block for a long time. And I did what I did in this room. I said to my users, what tempo and what key? So we ended up with 104 and F major, I think, because before that I'd just been sort of twiddling my thumbs for 30 minutes playing piano and enjoying myself, which is fine, but not writing. And what I said is, because I'm on camera, the discipline, therefore, is that I have to make something. If I just make it to myself in my living room, I could just cancel out, not do it. And I wanted to be held accountable. So if you want to be held accountable and you're suffering from creative block, get a friend to sit with you, someone you don't mind, who hears your flubs, and get them to give you those two things, because those two things can change everything. Key, tempo. It really, really helps. And it helped me.
Cancel button. Don't close.
Absolutely, and it is a thing that everyone creative struggles with sometimes. So having almost like a little challenge or exercise like that is a great way. It's almost like a game or a puzzle. Like, I want to do this,
Yeah.
and then it takes off the pressure a little bit as well, because it makes it
Massive.
more fun. Yeah,
Makes it loads more fun.
like pressure and stress can sometimes be the enemy of being creative. So making it almost into like a game like that can make it more fun, right?
That's what I like to believe.
Yeah.
So while I load this other project here, which is kind of an Owen special, any questions while we do this?
Any questions,
Cancel button. Don't
guys?
close. Cancel. Don't close.
Why the hell are you
All
still
right.
sat there?
Cancel button. Cancel.
I've
Don't
got a
close
few
button.
questions. I know Lily's got, when our Creative Industries podcast, we always Lily's last two questions has become a theme. We got another question over there. Jude? Yeah.
Scroll. Up.
How do you like navigate obviously the struggles in daily life and also making music at the same time? How do you? To me, that sounds quite
Daunting.
Logic Pro is not.
that's just me.
So when you say like daily life, do you mean sort of walking around the house or...
Challenges that you might come across as a disabled and blind person.
Yeah,
I can relate to the disabled bit,
okay.
and I find most of the time I've got too much to think about, but I want to do music.
You want to do music.
Yeah, it's just kind of like finding.
You've got to find sort of like a good balance, don't you? Do you know what? Because the people I work with are such excellent people, particularly if I'm out of the house and I'm gigging, all the bands and all the people I work with know that I need that just a little bit extra. And they've always said, oh, you're not a burden, it's fine, you know. So just ask. You just got to ask. So I went on tour in 2017 and I went with a band called Steel Pan Fusion. And for example, what I would do is I would hand off my keyboard to the other van because they had more space in that van and I would get in the other one. And when we got to the place, they would sort of park me in a corner on a chair. Not just forgotten about, like, you know, rubbish furniture, but it was so they could get all the other stuff set up. The drums and the percussion took a lot longer than me. So once all that was in, they would then clear a path and I could get to my bit, set the stand up, set the keyboard up. I had an amplifier down to my right-hand side. So basically almost everything I've got here today. And then we'd do the gig and we just do everything in reverse. So it's all about finding people that you trust and that you like, right? So I remember one time it was in Hootenanny in Brixton, and they've got a very high stage. It's higher than this desk here is, and I was getting closer and closer and closer to the edge of the stage. And I had my keyboard bag on my back, and it's, you know, makes me top heavy. And I was about an inch from dying, and someone just grabbed me and goes, oh, stomach, right? And I thought I was being attacked. I wasn't. It was a bandmate saying, if you carried on, you'd be dead and blind, right? Because I would have gone face first onto concrete. I hate that stage, by the way. I would never want to play there again unless you're giving really good money. But I don't like the Hootenanny stage. It sucks. And so I think there's only steps up to that stage as well. Not a good place to play if you're in a wheelchair. But just playing in a place that caters to you, that makes you feel welcome, you're going to play better anyway. And be with people that, you know, I use the word love loosely in this case, but love and care for you. It's the best thing. Not just be like, do it for the money and off you go at the end of the night. The people that will wait with you in the cold for your Uber to come, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are the best people you can have around you. The best.
Owen's got a question as well.
I don't know about you, but I know when it comes to staging, one thing that can sometimes scare me as a blind person is death.
Yeah.
As well.
Yes.
Because I worry about, I have fears of falling as well. So sometimes, especially if I'm doing singing or anything, I have to sort of get my hands out for the table or whatever.
Of course. See, it's different because for me, I'm behind the keyboard all the time. I'm not standing and moving around. But if you are moving and you're DJing, how close to the edge of the stage are you, in fact? Are you 1 foot from death? And it's something you basically get someone who, again, knows you to pace out the stage with you.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. And if you know how many steps back your equipment is from the edge, and also which direction it's in, because it could be totally not the way you think it is. I've had that before. Like,
I've had it once where it can be too high as well.
that was Hootenanny. I mean,
Yeah.
this thing was higher than a dining table. It was ridiculous,
Really?
like bar stool high, bar height.
1 bar.
I did not like it.
Do you think potential for the industry to evolve could be, you know how not every artist, but some artists have people like managers.
Yes.
So someone like that, it goes as almost like kind of like a manager, but is way more in tune with the needs of someone who maybe has additional needs or accessibility things across the range of things that you might need a bit of help with. Like maybe even a talent agency or management that helps especially young people who have less experience, but anyone who might need that extra help. That I don't know if that exists, but I feel like there's maybe a gap for that.
You might have started a new trend. You know, people in this room, you could be helping out people like myself, right? And you get good food and good pay, because anywhere that I go, the food has to be excellent. This is one of the things of a gig. I won't do a gig unless the food is excellent, or at least there's good food nearby. I was talking to John about this earlier. Like, it's a whole thing. My dad laughs at me because I know the best gigs I've ever been on by the food, not by what we played.
Yeah, well, if you don't have the right fuel in the tank, you're not going to perform
Honestly,
your best.
I
It's
will
true,
play.
it's true.
I genuinely play better with a full stomach, guaranteed.
Absolutely.
So that's the thing. So
Absolutely.
you can get a lot of work experience by being a disabled person's roadie.
Cool. Well, we've got a bit of time left to have a chat about this project, and I
Let's
know
do it,
we've
yeah.
got one of the classic last questions we do on the podcast, and Lily's feature of Lily's last two questions, and there might be a few other
let's
ones.
do it,
Maybe we'll have
yeah.
a quick look at this project and move to those parts of the chat, if that's cool with you, Andre.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. And like I said, any questions, get thinking. There'll be more chances to ask as well, guys.
So, Owen, I dug this out just for you.
One bar.
It's as far as I've got at the minute. I'm going to find a vocalist or something because I don't sing. I break things if I sing. But I'll just stick to doing keys, you know.
So who's on the beat?
Me, man. It's all me.
Hey, class. Well,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Great, mate.
34.
Yeah.
Loving that track.
Had fun.
Now,
I don't play.
we always ask this question on our chats for our guests,
Yeah.
and if everyone probably heard of the time machine, the Back to the Future car. So it's like time machine, you can take it back in time or forward, but
Yeah.
if you could take it back in time and meet your younger self, is there anything you'd want to say? Maybe if you're about ages with our audience, 16 to
16 to
25 years
25,
old, if you could
yeah.
go back then, what would you say to your younger self?
I would tell him that you would not believe the tech that's coming in the future. Because when I was 16, have to think about that. It would have been 90-something, 97 or 98 or whatever it is. And I was using stuff that didn't talk, like I said, in school. And I was at a specialist school in Worcestershire called RNIB New College, Worcester. And it was one of those, hold the button down, make sure you're in the right menu, hit record, hopefully your stuff actually works. And I'd be like, in a few years' time, you'll be doing this on computer with sounds that are way better than the sounds that are in your Roland module right now. And I would just say, wait and keep doing what you're doing and don't not do it. Because you might be surprised. I always wanted to take back the tech we have now to then, just to show people like witchcraft. It's mad.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about it as well, and goodness knows what we'll have in the next 10, 20 years as well. Like,
I know.
hopefully all improvements, hopefully, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. And we also have a feature on this is going to be out as the Creative Industries podcast as well. And
Yeah.
Lily's helped a lot of them. And there's going to be space for other questions, but we always have Lily's last two questions as well. So
Let's have it.
So my last two questions I normally give to everyone or the person that joins the podcast is, what was your favourite project that you created on Logic?
One of my favorites would probably be the episode I did with the podcast with my children, because there's me and my wife, and that's the usual. But then 100% more work when you've got two other people in, right? And it's just about getting the right mix and the EQ balance. So that was very interesting. Had 4 different mics up in the room, had to make sure everything was record armed properly. And the worst thing you do is to record 3 out of the 4. Like, didn't happen to me this time, but 3 out of the 4, or 2 out of the 4 people that's supposed to be recording, and you've got to do it again. Hateful. Now, I was lucky that didn't happen, but it could.
And my second question is, since you said that you do podcasting with your wife, what was your most favourite episode that you did with her?
Fascinated by cheese.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Who's not?
Yes.
And the thing is, right, I'm giving away a bit of a thing here. So if you listen to it, you're supposed to listen beyond the music at the end. A lot of people don't, because they think, they hear the music, it's finished. But you won't find out the title of that one unless you do.
Oh,
That's
so it's
all
like
I'm
an
gonna
Easter
say.
egg at the end.
Cheester egg, yes.
Easter egg. Yes.
Thank you for answering my question.
That's amazing. So before we finish up, is there any last questions from the audience for Andre today? Jude.
Do you ever deal with being too hard on yourself when it comes to music and pushing yourself to maybe unreasonable amounts?
I think it's the musician's trait to do that. we are our own worst enemy. Like, I did a gig a couple of weeks ago in a cocktail bar in East London, and the piano was brand new. It was a Yamaha U3. It wasn't very well tuned. The miking on it was substandard, and I was bashing away at it like nothing because I couldn't hear myself. The band couldn't hear me, and I hated the gig. Now, I recorded the gig because I record all my gigs, and I played it a couple of days ago, 2 weeks after the gig. And I was like, why are you so bad? It was all right. It was okay, you know. It was like, listening back, it was enjoyable. But at the time, I came away just hating every second of every track of that gig. And it wasn't even that bad at the end of the day. I think because in the moment, I'm so annoyed, but with sleep and lots of sleep and you know, time to unwind and to cool off, I listen back and I go, you hit some all right lines. So yeah, I think this is one of those things. And it's usually for me is I notice every mistake I make on a live gig. At home, I can edit them out, but you can't edit live. And I wish you could. That's my
Amazing.
worst.
Great question as well. Any other questions from our audience today? No? Well,
Oh, good one. I'm a jazz guy, if you couldn't tell. So I like my Chick Coreas and Herbie Hancock and even Jacob Collier to an extent. I mean, he's a mad player. I will never be him, but, you know, I love jazz piano and stuff like that. But then equally, recently, Zero T is a drum bass artist who lives upstairs from me, and we work together on a lot of albums. Owen's friend. But yeah, Zero T's been it changed my life, actually. Doing drum and bass was a whole different ballgame for me. I'd never done it before. So working with Zero T has been really, really special. And I've learned a lot, like making this beat all by myself.
one thing I've noticed, Andre, is I think it's a good thing to project out there. You never seem afraid to learn something new. You're always trying to learn stuff. Am I right about that? That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, if I've got the impetus, I will do it. You know, I'll give 110, I think. I want to, you know, I want to understand things. And if you can understand things, it helps you understand the stuff you already know. I think I find that.
Absolutely.
One of those things.
One last question I want to ask. Is there anything you're looking forward to in the next year or so, that, or anything you want to shout out you've got coming up for anyone that's listening, or anything you're looking forward to?
Well, I've got this gig in Belgium coming up at the end of February in March, which is not the UK, admittedly. But what I'm going to do is get loads of video footage and hopefully stick it up on YouTube. And I did one mix that I showed Owen, actually, from the last time we went out there. Because what we did is we had one of those Zoom L20 mixers. You may have heard of those, where you can basically multi-track every single thing that goes into it down to an SD card. So we had all these channels going into it, and therefore we had the sounds of each instrument. And so I did a mix in Logic using only Logic plugins, all audio tracks and Logic plugins. And I was really pleased with the mix. It came out really well, I think. So I want to be able to do that again, because I'm not a mix guy, really. I'm a MIDI guy. So I'm honing my own skills by doing this kind of thing. So it's kind of a fun exploit.
Absolutely amazing. Well, we look forward to hearing that. And I want to say, guys in the audience, thanks for being such an amazing, kind audience with great questions and everything. And we want to give a massive round of applause for Andre for giving us his time. You've been absolute inspiration. Thank you so much.